The Entrepreneur Accelerator Podcast presents marketing, strategy, leadership, and mindset. All that you need to accelerate your business and amplify your success. Now on air with your host, Reem Kharbat.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to a new episode of the Entrepreneur Accelerator podcast. This is Reem, and forgive me, my voice is not at its best because my doctor, I don't know, I had a problem, and there is like the cords, there is something weird. I think you can feel it, but so I'm trying to be quiet in here. I'm super excited about this episode. I have an amazing person I've been following for some time, and I know that you've been wanting me to have him in here. Alex Charfen. I'm really, really excited to have you in here. Just to give you a glimpse, in case you don't know him, he's a serial and award-winning entrepreneur who built multi-million-dollar companies. He went from being bankrupt in 2007 after the crisis and built his info business around on creating the program of certified distressed property experts, selling over $70 million. Alex was featured in the Inc. list of fastest growing companies 3 years in a row. Wow, that's amazing. And he was featured in multiple major media outlets. He's the go-to person for entrepreneurs, coaching them, mentoring them, and teaching them how to understand how to plan strategically. And his mission is to empower entrepreneurs to grow and scale their business and make their greatest contribution. By the way, this is just a tiny little bit of who he is. He's an amazing entrepreneur, a great coach and mentor. I'm super happy to have you here, Alex. I would love to just seriously explode and tell you how much I'm excited. I just can't scream.
Well, Reem, thank you for having me. Please don't scream. Let's preserve your voice. And I just want to make sure I add something to that introduction. So everything that you mentioned there, from the bankruptcy forward, Katie was involved in too. I get a lot of the credit, yes. But the fact is my wife and I work together. And even the real estate product that we had, I was kind of the face of the product, but she really ran the operations. And even today, she runs sales and marketing for our company. She's on our leadership team. She really helps me run the business. And there's no way I could do any of that stuff without her today. So I want to make sure I'm not taking all the credit. It's really a team effort.
Love it. Power couple. And I love that. I support that. Me and my husband, I always say that I think without him and without us being together, having one of us would have the vision, the other would have, the operation. Together we complement each other. It's amazing. I love that. And as a woman, I'm jealous right now, so she should be happy for that. Thank you so much for this, and welcome to the Entrepreneur Accelerator, Alex.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
I know I didn't talk too much about you, and I know there are so much to tell our audience. Just if you can give us a little bit of background on how you started. I know you were not just that normal kid, let's say. How did you get into this entrepreneurial journey?
So Reem, my father, when I was growing up, was a business owner. And so I grew up in a family business house, where there was a family business. And when I was about 8 years old, the business failed. 7 or 8 years old, the business failed. So it was a huge factory, a production facility in Fontana, California. My dad owned a company called American Concrete Roofing Tiles. It was going incredibly well. The patents that he owns are owned. He doesn't have them anymore. Are worth a fortune now. But because the construction industry really collapsed in the early and late 70s, my father lost the business. So as a kid, I remember all the feelings of being in the house and the business failing and the discussions and how heavy it felt and how difficult it felt. In fact, the day that my dad auctioned off all the equipment at his warehouse, I actually went with him and his partner, and I was there. And they sold everything. They sold forklifts and machinery and loaders and all kinds of other stuff. And at the end of the auction, there was a drill press and a drinking fountain. And my dad and his partner flipped a coin, and we brought the drill press home, and the drill press got put in our garage. And my whole childhood, it was there for about 10 years. And I would walk outside and I'd actually look at the drill press. I'm how weird is a kid to go stare at a drill press? But it represented failure and how bad it was for my family and how stressed my parents were. And I remember I used to stand there and think, like, how do you make business grow? How do you make it so a business doesn't fail? You know, and I think a lot of kids get obsessed with something. Some kids are obsessed with bugs. Some kids are obsessed with cars. You know, some kids are obsessed with like with science, with the table of periodic chart of elements, all those. I was obsessed with business. But like deep obsessed with business since I was very little. And I think it was from that trauma of watching my family lose the business. As this little kid, I decided I was going to fix it. And so I don't feel like I found entrepreneurship. I feel like it found me because I was so different. And along with that, in school, socially, I was super awkward, and with both the students and the teachers. So I didn't really feel like I had my place. And so after my dad's business failed, starting when I was about 8, I started working with him. And, you know, now as a 47-year-old adult, I understand just how traumatic it is for an 8-year-old to work almost full time. But back then I didn't know whether it was good or bad. I didn't have context. But what I did know was the first time I ever went with my father, and we worked at a flea market, like a swap meet where people sell stuff over a table. And the first time I was ever there, and a woman walked up and started talking to me, and I sold her, this is 1970 something, no, sorry, early 1980s. I sold her this like tiny little calculator that you could put on your keychain. And I remember she gave me the money and I gave her the calculator, and I was like, wow, that was good. Like something good happened here. Yeah. And I was kind of hooked. Like I loved selling. I loved the business. I loved, you know, here's what I think was most attractive to me. When I was out in the world, when I was at school, when I was just not working with my dad, everything felt very random. When I was working in the business, everything felt very predictable, which is crazy because business is really unpredictable. But to me, the world was so much less predictable that I really enjoyed business. And so as a kid, I ran companies, I made money when I was a kid. So I sold stuff to other kids when I was in grade school. Then I did it again in junior high. I had a window washing company. In high school, I started a financial consulting firm that I sold, moved across the country as part of the buyout. Then through a series of very fortunate events, became a consultant and worked at a very high level, working with companies like Fuji and Belkin and Targus and Microsoft, just amazing, incredible opportunities and experience. And so that's where things really started for me. But for me, I think I was always an entrepreneur because I was so different than everybody else. I've always had a hard time following other people's systems, but I'm pretty good at creating my own. Yeah. So it's always been really hard to like adopt another way of doing something. I've kind of done it my own way for my whole career.
And do you think that you got this from your dad? Like, was he your inspiration in creating the systems and knowing the business? And like, how did you develop this?
My father was definitely like a major inspiration in that he ran a business. And when I looked at my dad, I wanted to run a business. I remember there was this really interesting conversation one time where we lived in this small neighborhood and my dad worked, but he was home a lot of the time because he didn't have a normal job. And one of the neighbor kids and I got in a fight, and the neighbor kid said something like, oh yeah, well, you know, at least my dad has a job. And I was like, whoa, geez, whoa, he like ripped on my dad. That's horrible. So later on that night, I was like, Dad, I need to tell you something. So Tony said, you know, at least my dad has a job because you don't have a job. And my dad said, well, next time he says something like that, you tell him I don't have a boss. And his dad has a boss. And so go let him know that, you know, his dad has somebody who tells him what to do every day and I don't. And I remember like that stuck. I'm like, oh, I hate like school. I don't like having a boss. I don't like having a teacher. So I think that, you know, from a very young age, I was kind of set up to go into entrepreneurship and be independent.
Love it. This is the major, I don't know how you say it, but this is like, I came from this environment from my mom and dad. They're both teachers. They were teachers. And we came from this, let's say, background where you have to study, you have to get the highest grades, and you have to go to college. You have to get a good job, good, secure job. And by the way, after 15 years being a CFO in a multi-million-dollar company, being I was a member of the board of directors, I was kicked out on the day I gave birth. So
I don't mean to laugh, but there's so many stories like that.
It's very ironic, right? It's the thing that everybody think that this is where security comes from. It's basically where you should literally, I always tell like everybody, like, do not wait till you get kicked out of your job, till you realize that you can be your own boss and you can just start building your business. I've been in this for almost 5 years, and I cannot, like, every chance I get to tell anybody, just, you don't have to wait for a pandemic to start a new business or to learn how to run your own business. You don't have to be kicked out or wait for a bad economy or a pandemic to start that. We'll come to that in a bit when we start, or when we talk about coaching, and why is it also important to have maybe a coach if you want to start or to scale your business. I found out that during my journey, I had a lot of mistakes. I know that you love systems and creating systems and how to get people, or let's say entrepreneurs, out of being ran by their businesses, because most of people, when they start becoming entrepreneurs, they think that it's just a one-man show. They get too deep into this and their business run them instead of they, running their business. Can you tell us a little bit about the importance of having systems, and when do I have to start implementing that during the journey?
Yeah, for sure. So I think one of the biggest issues in the entrepreneurial world today is expectations. I think there is an entire army of marketers out there that are creating a very huge set of false expectations. And here's what I mean by that. There's this impression in the market that if you're not wealthy within 90 days, you did something wrong. There's this impression in the market that, all you have to do is put together a promotion and a funnel and you can be a millionaire by the end of a year. There's this impression in the market, and this is my favorite, that you can have no expertise, no experience, and go make it as an expert, which to me, that is like one of the biggest fallacies we're teaching anyone out there. Is it's just unfair what we're doing. And so, when I look at the business world, I'm challenged by how many people are judging themselves for not having created success overnight. In 2007, Katie and I looked like an overnight success. Well, not 2007, really 2008. In 2007, we looked like overnight failures. I didn't finish this part of the story, but after I had that consultancy, when I met my wife, I sold it and we went into real estate. We did exceptionally well in real estate. We built some very large companies in real estate. In 2007, when the market crashed in Florida, we lost it. And we started an information product company. And in 2007, our business did about $120,000. In 2008, it did about $500,000. In 2009, it did $7 million. Wow. In 2011, it did about $8 million. And in 2010, it did 8. In 2011, it did about just under 10. And so we were the 21st fastest growing company in the United States. And to anybody watching, it's like, wow, look how fast they did it. I had 13 years experience as a consultant. I had tons of time in the chair helping people, going through frameworks, understanding systems and process, and understanding how to structure deals and make things happen. And so we were able to put something together that looked like it created success very quickly, but there was a lot of history there. And so, I think in the entrepreneurial world, the faster you can start using a proven framework and a proven system, the better. I think here's one of the big issues that I see in entrepreneurship is anytime I go out and speak to a group of entrepreneurs, I ask, how many of you got into entrepreneurship in some way for freedom? And the whole room puts their hand up. Nobody says I didn't get into, the freedom wasn't part of it. And the challenge is that in order to create freedom in your life, what you really need is clear structure, process, and routine. If you don't have structure, process, and routine, you really can't create freedom in your life because everything happens randomly and you have to be there to make it happen. Yeah. And so to me, the biggest fallacy or the biggest misunderstanding in entrepreneurship is that you can have the freedom from process, structure, and routine. That's not how it works. It's the reverse. Process, structure, routine in your business and your life creates freedom. And so when you ask how early should somebody start with it, we want people to start with it as they start their business. We want them to understand process, structure, and routine, especially for themselves.
But a lot of people, they don't know that. The thing is, and from what I've seen, let's say, as you said, I joined the online world recently. My business we started it offline. Me and my husband, we had zero knowledge. I used to be a CFO, I worked in corporate, so I know like how it should look like, but it's so much difficult to take decisions. Like I was able to take decisions, multi-million dollars decisions, but for using other people's money, not mine. And that was like totally different and scary. So there are a lot of things that we had to, with trial and error and just, having the proper mindset, we managed to do that. But I'm telling you, having systems in place and having the routine and the processes, it's something that I think 90% of entrepreneurs, they will fail understanding until they lose somewhere, and then they will figure out that there is something wrong. This is it,
Yeah.
And I have to, because as you said, 90% of people, they want freedom, but then they realize that they're working 24 hours, 7 days a week. And this is not the freedom that, no, let me go back to my old job, to my boss. At least I used to work from 9 to 5 and I had 2 days off. But when you're an entrepreneur, you're the janitor, you're the marketing.
I always joke around with people. Yeah. You're everything. I always joke around with people that as an entrepreneur, we're the only people who quit a 9 to 5 job so that we can have the freedom of working from 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. every day, 7 days a week. Because that's really what happens, especially at the beginning. Yeah.
Exactly. Absolutely. So when we say that you need to have processes and systems and routines, what is it like? Is it automation? What are we talking about exactly? Is it something that we need to implement in our life and reflect in our business? Is it inside? Like, can we just talk a little bit more about what is it exactly? Where do I start?
Absolutely. So where we start with people is with themselves personally. So we have 3 different coaching programs and memberships where we help people grow and scale their businesses. But in every one of our memberships, we start with the human being. So we show people how to drink more water, how to start a morning routine, how to use our momentum planning system, which is this planner that I use every day, my family uses every day, all our clients and our team use every day. And so we show first, let's get process, structure, and routine set up around you so that as your business grows, as things get overwhelming, you can stay in the pocket and do what you need to do. Now, when it comes to the business, we have very specific systems and processes, but this is what I believe every business needs to have. 1, a strategic plan. We need a roadmap so that everybody knows where the business is going. Yeah. We talk to several hundred businesses a month. 99% of them do not have a strategic plan of any kind other than maybe a project they're doing, but no strategic planning system to build the projects, the processes, hire the people, and build the business. The second place where we think you need to have clear process and structure is how are you communicating that strategic plan to the team, and how are you meeting with your team, interacting with your team? That should all be a structure. Far too many entrepreneurs just expect it to happen. We have a system called the cadence, the Charfen cadence, where you meet with your team at the same time, you meet with them for the same reasons, they know what to expect, they know how to succeed. And then the third system is a process to consistently build your business in an intentional way. Here's what we see far too often in the entrepreneurial world. People bring projects and processes and people into their systems because they feel like it. So they say, this month I'm going to do this thing because I was just at a mastermind and somebody else was doing it. Or I have this idea from being on social media this morning, so here's what we're going to do. And there's no way that they analyze their business. I think one of the biggest issues in entrepreneurship is that we have a fire, ready, aim attitude towards pretty much everything. It's like, how fast can I get started? And that's how I've lived my entire career. So I've had to unlearn that and back into, first, how do I analyze what's going on? Then prioritize what my options are, commit to the option that is best, execute like crazy without messing with more decisions, and then renew. That's our 5-step process for growing a business: is analyze, prioritize, commit, execute, and renew. And I think that most entrepreneurs fail because they start with commit. They're like, I'm at a mastermind. I just saw this thing on stage. I'm rolling it out tomorrow. We're going to do this new funnel, or I'm going to write a book, or I'm going to do an audio, or I'm going to do this. And really what we should constantly be doing is absorbing the ideas, analyzing what's there, prioritizing what's best, committing to what we really think is going to move us forward, executing like crazy without making decisions in an execution period, and then doing it again. And if we follow that 5-step process, everything in a business shifts.
Amazing. Seriously, you made me think a lot that I personally need to think about, especially when you have multiple businesses. And so, like, it gets more chaotic. I always committed to myself as a mom as well, not to work more than 4 hours a day. Otherwise, I'll be hypocrite, calling out for, freedom and financial freedom, and even teaching people how to do that. But at the same time, if I'm, as we said, just being deeply involved in all the businesses, then definitely I'm not having the freedom that I'm looking for. And I have to, as you said, that you said just small words that I've been thinking about for the past couple of months, that are because I see everyone around me in the online space thinking that business, for example, is just the funnel. This is one of the things.
Oh yeah,
They
business
don't know
is not a funnel.
it's not
And you know what? It's more than that, Reem. Business is not a tactic. That's the issue. So many people think their business is a tactic. It's, I've got this funnel, I've got this promotion, I've got this ebook, I've got this thing. That's just a promotion. It's not a business. It's, you might make some money, but businesses are not tactics. They're much greater than that. There's a lot more to it than that.
And when you said, especially that also, I spend most of my years building business plans and strategic plans. So I totally understand that. But some of, let's say, people who are starting out, they don't have, let's say, the knowledge. I know that you had also your business as in financial consultancy. So I think, you have this finance background, right? Do you have a finance background?
When I was much younger, when I was in my
20s.
teens, in my early, 19 to 21, I had a financial business where we did billing and collection software, but I was never in financial planning or anything like that. It was more of a financial consultancy where we showed fraternities and sororities in the United States how to do automated billing. We actually ran the billing for them. Wow. So it was a very interesting business that we were very young and didn't have a lot of perspective to run.
But the thing is, thinking, for example, I had a lot of conversations with people that when you start your business, even as an entrepreneur, even if you're just starting out, you need to have, for example, an exit plan. And no one understood what is an exit plan. Like, it's either you're building your business for legacy, I understand, to give it to your children, grandchildren, grandchildren. But at the same time, you also need to think of a way how to see the end from the beginning. And from there, when you have a plan, as you said, you can just know where you're heading. And it's a very important process to start with building a strategic plan or a business plan for your business, to know what do you want to do, rather than focusing just on systems and tools and thinking that this is the business, or I'm having this product today, this promotion today, and that's it. But what are you going to scale? How are you going to scale your business or make it bigger, And this is I'm really excited about this. And I know that you're having something that in October you're planning to teach us. But before that, guys, you have to know that Alex has the Momentum podcast, and you have to listen to it. And in your last episode, in one of your recent episodes, you were talking about fake coaches.
Yeah.
And this is a topic that I, seriously, the other day when I read your post and when I heard the episode, and when I was like, this is a sign from the sky that it's true. I've been witnessing this, and I've been silent for some time because I had a conversation with a lady who accused people in the space for stealing the money of the poor.
Yeah.
Under the name of fake coaching. So you were talking about fake coaches and how to beware of fake coaches. How can we tell who is good from bad in the online space? And especially that anybody can be anybody in the online space. How can we beware of fake coaches?
Yeah, so I'm glad you brought this up. So one of the biggest issues that I see in the information products coaching expert space today is that there are far too many people teaching how to design a product and sell it, but never deliver it. There's not a lot of emphasis in delivery in our market. In fact, if you go out to buy a product on how to deliver success to your clients, good luck on finding it. We're one of the few products out there, because the online marketing space has kind of died. It's kind of diluted itself down to make money in 90 days. You can do one promotion and be a millionaire, make money overnight, do it with no experience. And the problem is we've had this influx of people into the coaching space that don't really know what they're doing. And here's the other problem is and I'm probably going to catch some serious heat for saying this, so I want to say it as politically correct as I can, but there are far too many people who have figured out how to gain influence through Instagram or Facebook or getting some type of following somewhere, and they're backing into a business deliverable. So in other words, they've gone out and gotten the attention first. They have no idea what to sell. So they make something up, they license something, they steal something, they promote somebody else's stuff. And we're in this world right now where, to the uninitiated, subscribers and likes and followers and how many people are on your Instagram, that all means a lot. And so if somebody has 100,000 or 1 million followers somewhere, people look at that person as having credibility. And the challenge is that oftentimes the person who has the most attention is not the best person in the category. In fact, that's almost a rule in most cases, not all, but in most. And so you asked the question, how do you find real coaches? Well, I have like my own thoughts on this, but my friend Julie Stoin put out the best post on this. Somebody asked her, how do we find a good coach? So I'm going to give Julie full credit. By the way, she runs a Facebook group called The Marketer's Heart. And it's amazing because it is just honest marketers talking about how to ethically sell and how to go do business. And nobody is dropping like pictures of their Stripe account or anything like that. They're actually talking about how do we go make a big difference with people. And so here's what Julie said. Look at somebody and ask, this is how you know who's legit and who isn't. Customers who've stayed with that person for years, not months. I just got a text message for a person that I've been consulting with since 2009. So we're looking for long-term relationships here. Customers who've had success and will happily and freely say, yes, this person was a great mentor, not just on a testimonial, but when you talk to them on social. Influencers who stay the course of time, who are not a flash in the pan, who show their human side, their messy side, not the fake messy, but actually let you know like when things are going wrong. When my mom and a really close friend of mine passed away last year, I basically left my company for 2 months and everybody knew about it. We didn't hide the fact that I went on sabbatical. We didn't hide the fact that I went away. So you want people who actually let you know what's really going on. When and if you can, meet the person in real life, see if the real life version is the same as their online version. Trust those who talk just as much about profit and saving as they do sales and making a bunch of money. Trust those who aren't afraid to share the harder side of business or admit mistakes or be honest with their numbers. Watch how they act with their students. Watch how they act with those who are not VIP clients. And then note how much time they spend with their customers versus their internet circles and networking. And then she also went on to say, and I love this part, she said, this is what's really not important. Clothing, lifestyle, how big their house is, how perfect their power couple marriage is, perfect kids, endless vacations, fancy cars, or perfect branding photos. And I think Julie nailed it. This is reality. Like if you want somebody who actually runs a business that's going to help you, go find somebody here at the top. And by the way, if they have nice clothes and a nice lifestyle and a nice wife and stuff, that's not something you count against them. But I think here's the problem is that far too many people in the online space today start with clothing, lifestyle, size of the house, perfect power couple, marriage, perfect kids, and then say, what do I learn from this person? We really need to reverse this.
I absolutely love this. Unbelievable.
I'm glad I had it sitting right there.
Yes. Thank you so much. And I'll make sure that I will also post this and share it because so many people need to read this and to understand this, because when we talk about creating a business and creating impact, we're not just, these are not just words. You are having an impact on other people's lives. You are, if you want to have a long-term success and maintaining that success, not just as an overnight success, if you want to do that, then you have to have the ethical business. You have to have loyalty, and you have to learn, you have to understand what is customer loyalty and how to focus on that, how to build relationships with your clients. And because this is the real investment, return on relationships, and having customers coming back to you over and over again, no matter what, not just, as you said, for 2 months and that's it. Thank you so much. That was really amazing. And thanks, Julie, for writing that. That was amazing. Seriously.
You know what's funny, Reem? So there was this day where I'm like, you know what? I'm going to make the list of how you find the right coach. And as I said that, I was on Facebook and I looked over and there was a thing from Julie and I'm like, what is that? And I clicked on it. It was in one of the posts in her group. And it was this. And I thought, well, okay, I don't need to write this. I'm just going to use Julie's and tell everybody it's hers because she wrote it better than I could have. It's so good. Like that is the way to find the right coach.
Absolutely. She's great, honestly. But again, we're in the online world, and people just get easily, there are so many deceit in there, because when you teach, or when they talk about writing a great copy and just using human psychology and the triggers on how to play on the people's feelings and touching on their pains, that is true, but use it in the right place. Definitely. And use it if you know what you're talking about, and not just because there are so many people who will be hurting others with their fake, let's say, teachings, and that is sad. That is really, really sad. And I told you, I really felt that I needed to talk to you, Alex, when you wrote that post, because when you said that, when you might hurt people instead of just helping them, when you say that you're a coach and when you're an expert with something that you know nothing about, it's really sad. And I felt that I really need to talk about this and to address it, because I've seen a lot around me like this. Thank you so much again for this. You teach people in different levels, starting out, people who are in their midway, let's say, in their journey, and people who want to build their $100 million business. Is it like, are these one-on-one coaching? What is it that you do with your students?
So we have memberships at each level, and we have 3 memberships that we sell and 4 that we deliver. The 4th one is invitation only, and you have to have been in our memberships. But just to give you a quick summary, Reem, the 3 products we have are called Foundation, Catalyst, and Accelerator. So Foundation's the first course, and that's typically for somebody who's around 6 figures. And in Foundation, what we're showing you how to do is build a strategic plan, execute the plan like crazy, right up to the point where you need to start getting help. And then in Catalyst, that's our 2nd level program. And Catalyst is all about building out that core team, getting a really solid team of people around you. And then the process of going from doing everything as an entrepreneur to offloading it and getting help so that you do less and less tactically. Then once you have that core team built and you're ready to start building a leadership team and breaking the company into departments, our 3rd level is called Accelerator. And the price of our programs are, Foundation is $300 or $500 a month, depending on if it's 1 person or 2 people. We work with a lot of couples, so both of them are there. Catalyst is $800 or $1,500 a month, so depending again if it's 1 person or 2 people. And then our 3rd program, Accelerator, is always $2,500 a month, because it's always a 2-person program. So anyone who's an accelerator is there with the person who's running the business and the person who's operating the business. And the way we coach entrepreneurs is to bring in people to help them. Like, we think entrepreneurs need more help than anybody else out there, but we have a really hard time asking for it and getting it. And so our systems are all about identifying where you need help, getting it quickly and predictably, and then being able to onboard, or being able to recruit, hire, and onboard people so that they're effective within their first week.
And when can they start joining? Is it already there, or?
It's always there. We don't have launches. We don't have anything like that. All of our programs are available any day of the week. We don't, how earlier you just said you can use those persuasion techniques.
Yeah.
We try to use none of them. I know that sounds crazy, but we actually do not try and persuade people to join our programs other than talking about them and having our members talk about them. We don't use a lot of the high pressure tactics. In fact, about 5 months ago, we stopped using a high commission salesperson to sell anything, and we use our coaches. So today, if you get on a call with our company, you're going to be talking to either probably my wife, Katie. If she's doing sales calls, she jumps in like every once in a while, but most of the time you're going to be talking to somebody who's on our coaching team. And so our coaching team they're consultants, they're coaches. They talk to our members every single day. They help them figure things out and then find solutions. And so the way that we sell is we get on a coaching call and we find out where the person is. We determine if we think we can help them. We present them with the options we have, and there's absolutely no pressure. If somebody says, I want to do this, but I'm in another program and it ends in 3 weeks, great, we'll hear from you in 3 weeks. We don't have if you sign up now, we're going to give you this thing that goes away forever. We don't do it. Here's why, Reem. This is very important. I don't think that high pressure and high ticket works. Here's why. When you do high pressure and high ticket, you pressure people into spending money that they weren't prepared to spend, or that they didn't want to spend, or they didn't have clarity around what they were spending. I want the opposite. When somebody joins one of our programs, we have very low pressure and they're higher ticket programs. I just gave you the pricing. They're not outrageous, but they're more expensive than most. But here's why we do it this way. We make sure that we're not pressuring the person. We want the person coming to us, asking all the questions they need to ask. We want to explain to them how we can possibly help them. And then if they feel it's a good match, they join us. There's no pressure. There's no time limit. There's no timer in the corner of our webinars. There's none of that stuff, because here's what happens if you have high pressure and high ticket. If you pressure somebody into a $30,000 a year program that isn't ready for it, the next day they feel buyer's remorse. 2 weeks later, they feel like you need to solve their business problems for them. And 2 months later, they feel like they got taken advantage of. I don't ever want anyone who's worked with us to feel taken advantage of. I want people who work with us to go out and tell everybody in the world, hey, like Charfen solved everything. They changed my life. You know, I feel better about what I'm doing now. I have more time with my family now. The last thing I need is somebody saying, I got pressured into a high pressure program with Charfen and it didn't deliver. That doesn't happen to us. We don't have a lot of those comments in the marketplace.
I love it. Seriously. And maybe this is the first time that I have someone in my show not talking about the ethical persuasion and which is, again, I felt that it was totally unethical, you know,
Yeah.
just, as you said, pressuring people, because it's so true. It's so true. And this is what I see happening in the space. But I love it. You said that the 3 levels of your membership programs, and they are really, compared to the market, these are amazing prices for someone who really cares about accelerating their success and building their business the right way. I love that. Alex.
I was just going to add one thing, Reem. So here's the other thing. I just want to make it really clear on those programs. Even at the $300 to $500, so even at the 1 person 300, 2 person 500, we have in-person coaching. So what we believe as an organization is that you really need 3 things in order to succeed in business. You need, and I got this from Taki Moore, who I was in his program for a couple of years. He teaches people how to coach. But I remember I was sitting in his room and he said, you know, here's what really creates success in your programs. The first thing is content. You have to have very solid content so somebody can come in, absorb the content, get up and running quickly. And so every one of our programs has content. The second part, which is crucial, is coaching, because people will absorb the content, but they need to be able to get help so that they're not stuck. So even at the $300 to $500 program, we have 3 calls a week for those members that are open to them. And if they need to, they can get on a call with one of our coaches. And then, so the third thing, so it's content, coaching, and now this is the big one, community. See, most programs don't realize how big an aspect of learning community is. So in our programs, all 3 levels, and then the level that is invitation only, there's a content platform, there is coaching for exactly what you need at that level, and then there's a community of other people going through the exact same thing. So between those 3 ways of learning and those 3 ways of absorbing content, we know that we're going to get an extraordinary high success rate with the people who sign up for our programs.
Love it. That's absolutely amazing. Thank you so much, Alex, for sharing this with us. For people to know more about your programs and to follow you and listen to your podcast, where can they find you?
So there's 2 places. So one, momentumpodcast.com. That's we have a podcast called Momentum for the Entrepreneurial Personality Type. It's really exciting. In the past, few months, we haven't really known where we stood, but then we got some information out of Chartable, and it's top 100 in business in the United States last week. And we're in the top 1,000 out of 800,000 podcasts worldwide. So super exciting about the Momentum podcast. It's funny. I got a lot more excited about it once I knew the numbers. And then the second place, and this is a big one. So October 6th, 7th, and 8th, I'm hosting a free live training. And it's absolutely live. It's me for 3 days. The promotion is the website to go check it out is called momentummasterclass.com. And just momentummasterclass.com. You can register there, and then my team will send you prompts so that you can get onto the class. And here's what we're going to do in 3 days. I'm going to show you clearly how to understand where your business is and what you should be focused on, how to assemble a plan to get to where you want to go, and then know exactly how you create success and understand how to get there. So in the course of 3 days, you're going to have intelligence on your business and tools that you just didn't have before. I don't know if you can tell, I'm over the top excited about this. We think we're going to get a few hundred people there. I'd love for you to be one of them.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That was really awesome. I loved talking to you, and I wish that we can talk more about a lot of things too, especially in this field and in this entrepreneurial world. Thank you so much for being here. I had a blast talking to you, and maybe I'll speak to you very soon. Thank you.
Reem, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time and the way that you conducted this interview. And I just want you to know, like, I'm definitely willing to come back in the future. I appreciate you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.